Hello everybody! Welcome back to another episode of Bass Predator TV. I am today sitting in my man cave, the office. Baits galore. This is where I work on stuff during the dead of winter. It's February, almost March, Minnesota. Snow is everywhere. Florida guys, Texas guys, all my Texas buddies are already fishing. I am still in the frozen tundra, so I tinker. And one of the things I want to talk about today is something that I haven't seen a video on anywhere about. I haven't heard anyone talk about it much. It is about the debate between suspending jerkbaits. If you go on Tackle Warehouse, you constantly see comments on there is, that jerkbait sucks, it doesn't suspend, it floats up. Oh, that jerkbait sucks, it sinks. Oh, this one's awesome, it suspends. Well, why is there so many comments where 50 guys say this bait's amazing, it suspends perfectly, and then 50 guys say it sucks, it floats? What we're gonna do is put that debate to the test. I'm gonna tank test jerkbaits, different brands. Right out of the package, I got a whole box of them, a bunch of different of them, all the good brands, your Rapalas, your Strike Kings, your Lucky Crafts. We'll tank test them, even some new ones, some old ones. And we'll see which ones float right out of the package, even though they're supposed to suspend, and which ones sink maybe, or maybe some suspend right away. We're going to find out. We're going to tank test them. And what we're also going to throw into this video, guys, is not only are we going to tank test these baits to see, we're going to show you how to use Suspendots to make the ones that float up suspend. You're going to add weight with these. I'm also going to show you a really cool hack, what I call a bait hack, the SuspenDot bait hack, where I take a Rapala Shad Rap, that floating balsa bait, and we add Suspendots and a couple other tricks to make that bait suspend in the cold water for catching big bass in the spring. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Let's dive into it right now. Okay, here is step one. Take your pitcher and fill that baby up with cold water. I don't get too critical about this. I literally just go to the laundry room, I turn the cold water on, and I can check it. I let it get as cold as it can possibly get. That's going to be about as cold as the lake can get. That's pretty dang cold. Yeah, that's cold. Alright, so now we're going to do the cold water test. Fill up my jug with the cold water. Okay, we're back. I've got the cold water, just filled it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a couple of stock famous jerkbaits. You know, the well-known ones. We're going to see if they suspend perfectly in this cold water. This water's cold. I mean, if you dip your hand into a lake, that's cold water. Alright, first one we're going to do is the Rapala Xrap. Everybody knows this bait. It's an amazing one of my favorites. Let's see if it suspends right out of the package, stock hooks, everything stock, in the cold water. Oh, look at that. That bait slow rises right out of the package. So even though they say it's a suspending lure, depending on the water temp, that bait slowly rises. Rapala Xrap. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. Let's go with the KVD. That is your Strike King KVD Jerkbait. And this is the smaller 4-inch size, not the giant Mondo 3-hook one. This is the smaller size. Let's see how this one does right out of the package. A little dipper in there. Ah, another floater. Another slow floater. Interesting. Alright, well, Strike King KVD Jerkbait, the smaller one. Also slow floater. Let's go ahead and try the Rapala Shadow Rap. This is one of the newer baits that came out. I want to say last year, might have been 2 years ago. Rapala Shadow Rap. They say this one slowly sinks. Let's see how this baby does. Ah, that one, my friends, is the first one. Slow sink. slow, super slow sink. I mean, that thing just falls slowly. Doesn't suspend perfectly. But that's the first one. So the Rapala Shadow Rap, that's the first one that didn't float. Let's try another color and see if color matters at all. Here's another Rapala Shadow Rap. This is the shiner color. Let's see if color matters at all. Stock hooks. A little slower. That one actually almost suspends. It might have been catching the sides of the crate there, but that's a slow sink. That one's a slow sink now. So it is a little slower. It could be a little more weight in that one, but that's the first one that truly slow sink suspends in the water column. And let's go over here to this box and try some of the other brands. Let's try Lucky Craft Pointer. Got one right here. Lucky Craft Pointer. This is the Suspending. Yep. Lucky Craft Pointer. We're putting it in. Lucky Craft Pointer. Oh, this is the same as the Shadow Rap. That one's slowly sinking. That one actually sinks fairly quick. Interesting. So Lucky Craft, slow sink. Let's try this one. Rogue Smithwick. This is an old school classic. One of the best of all time. Let's see how that one does. Slow float. That one's actually a semi-quick float. Fairly quick. So as you're seeing, the majority of these, none of these are true neutrally buoyant baits thus far. Let's try the Rapala Rip Stop. This is a new bait that came out. Let's give that a try. In the bucket we go. That's pretty close. That's a slow riser. Really slow rise. Okay. So we've gone through the Rapala Shadow Rap. That was a slow sink, so we know we can get that one to suspend. The Lucky Craft Pointer 110, that was, I don't know if this is the 110. I'll look it up and put it in the description below. I'll put all these baits in the description. This is the Lucky Craft Pointer. That was a slow sink, so we know we can get that to suspend. Rapala Xrap, surprisingly, slow rise. Didn't sink. Slow rise. The Strike King KVD Jerkbait, smaller one. Slow rise. The Rapala Rip Stop, the new one that's out. Really slow rise. That was the slowest rise we found. And then the old school Rogue Smithwick. That sucker floated right up to the top. So what does this tell me? This tells me that I need to add Suspendots to the floating ones to get them to suspend. And you can add enough weight to get it to be perfectly neutral buoyancy. So these four I know I need to add. And these three sinkers, I know I need to lose a little bit of weight somewhere. So how do you lose weight without changing the bait? Thinner gauged hooks, but you're going to need to use a light rod if you do that. Or you can downsize to the short shank hooks. These are longer shanked hooks. So if you go to a short shank hook, oftentimes it takes out just the amount that you need of weight because it's less shank, and you actually can still have the wide enough gap to get good hook penetration. And that's something that I do on a lot of baits right out the gate, is switch to short shanks and play with the gauge. You can even add and take off split rings. You know, you'd be surprised how little weight it takes to get them to be neutral buoyant. Let's dive into how I get them to suspend with Suspendots from Storm. So I take the Suspendots, and this is what they look like in the package. Simple little guys here. Simply just take those babies out of the package. And here's what they look like. I've used some of these already, as you can tell. But they're just little lead stickers. Little small lead stickers that just pop out. And you can add them to the undersides of your bait. See, there's one I stuck on. I cut that in half because it was too much weight to get this one to suspend. But that's what it looks like. And you can put them on the side if you want. I put them on the belly because I don't think you can see it as good. Just
preference. I don't think it would matter if it was side. But you want it to be towards the front of the bait. You don't want it to be at the back unless you're going for a tail down fall, but that can oftentimes make your jerkbait run weird. So put it towards the front so it gives it a head down position like that when it's in the water, and then when you're doing your jerks it stays steady and the bait runs true. So that's all you do is add them. Now I'll show you how I pull them off and add them on there. It's super easy, pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, so here's how you add the Suspendots on. Put this down here. There's my Suspendots. You just need a knife to cut the Suspendots with. But all you do is you take the Suspendots out, and we'll do, what was one of our floaters? We'll do this guy. We'll do our Strike King. We'll do the Strike King KVD Jerkbait, because this one was a slow float. I think we'll get that. If you did the tank test, just dry it off. You want to make sure the sticker goes on there and doesn't get water in it. So dry it off. These little lead stickers, you just fold yourself a little piece out like that. They pop out pretty easy. Sometimes you gotta bend it out there. Okay. Now I just kind of eyeball where I want. You want this to be super dead centered on the bait. That way it doesn't roll to one side or the other. And I just kind of go halfway between the bill and the first hook hanger, just a little space in there. And get it right as close dead center as you can. That looks pretty perfect. And then just massage it on there. I like to really push that on there so it stays nice and clean, and you're not going to get water underneath it or anything like that. And voila, that's all you got to do is put a little Suspendot in there. So you can see I got the Suspendot right there on the bottom, nice and flush and smooth, blends in well. Looks like a scale pattern. Now let's dunk this in and see if we can get this to suspend perfectly now that we've added the Suspendot. Okay, so now I've got my Strike King KVD Jerkbait with my Suspendot added to the bottom of it. Let's put it back in the same water and see. Oh, look at that. Dropped it. Look at that. Perfectly suspending. It was floating earlier. Now I added the one Suspendot and it is absolutely perfectly neutrally buoyant. Look at that. Look at that. It's perfect! Perfect! It's that simple, guys. All you do is add that little Suspendot on the bottom, and you went from a slow rising bait to now a perfectly neutral buoyant suspending bait. So when you pause that thing in cold water, it's just going to sit there in the bass's face, and I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world to have a suspending versus rising bait in the early spring and the fall when the water's cold. Get so many more bites. So many more bites. Okay. Now, we ran through a couple baits. Which one's suspended, which one's floated. We showed you how to take one that was a slow float right out of the package. Add the sweet Suspendots to that bad boy. Get that thing to perfectly suspend. That one was easy. We added one. Boom. Fish catch machine. Now, I'm going to show you what I like to do, a little hack for baits like the Rapala Shad Rap. It's a balsa bait and it floats like a madman. I got a box of them. Where did I put them? Over here. Shad Raps. These baits are dynamite in cold water fishing. Early spring, winter, early spring, fall. That's when I throw this bait. But the problem with them in the cold water is they rocket ship float up to the surface. It's got the nice tight wiggle, but it doesn't have the suspension like I want. Rockets up to the surface, and when I pause it in cold water, I want it to sit there like a jerkbait does and makes them react to it. So let's show you one. Here's a Rapala. This is a number 7 size, straight out of the package. Only thing I did is I've changed a split ring to upgrade the split ring, but I've done no weight addition to this one. So let's show you how this guy will float in the water. We'll show you how to get it to suspend. Okay, so let's put this number 7 Rapala Shad Rap in the water. It's going to float up really fast. Look at that. Bang, right to the top. right to the top. Floats every time. They're designed to float. They're balsa. They're extremely buoyant. That's why when you bang in rocks, it floats up. But I don't want that in the cold water. I want one that suspends. Here, I want to show you how I take the Rapala Shad Raps and make these suspend. So a buoyant balsa bait, make it suspend for fishing in cold water. First thing I do, take off the stock hooks. Take them off. I don't want them. Number 4s, I want to upgrade the size. So I upgrade to 2 number 2s. This is a number 9. I'll upgrade a size. That's my rule of thumb. Is so if they're size 4 hooks, I upgrade to a 2. 1 or 2 sizes. That's a 2 size jump. And why do I do that? It instantly gives it a little more weight, and I get a better hookup. But make sure you do, when you upgrade, you use a short shank. Right? You buy the short shank. These are VMC 1X short shank hooks. I like these ones. They're cheap. They're great. You buy a million of them for like $2. Those are good, but do the short shank so they don't tangle, and upgrade the hook size so you got more weight, and they don't tangle. And we're going to put that in there and show you guys how that looks in the water. So you can see slow float. It doesn't rocket ship up anymore. Doesn't rocket ship up. Go slow. And I added 1 Suspendot to it. So with bigger hooks and 1 Suspendot added at the belly already, it's already slowing the rise down a ton. So what I want to do is, it's still floating. I want to get it to neutrally buoyant. Dry off that area where I put the Suspendot, right into the throat. So I'm going to stick a couple more on here. Probably do 2 more. That's probably a good guess. So let's put some more Suspendots on it. Pull another one off. I dry off the spot where I'm put them on. You don't want to be putting it on wetness. And keep them in order, keep them smooth, coming backwards. Just push that on there like we showed you earlier, nice in the center. Same concept, smooth. Flatten it out. I don't want any air under that at all. I don't want water getting trapped in there. It'll make them fall off. It just won't work right. So now I've got 3. Let's see if that's enough. Still getting that float. We're getting really close. Look how slow that is. We're getting really close. So now I'll just speed this up, and I'll just keep adding them one by one until I get that perfect suspension.
There it is, guys. Look at that. A perfectly suspending bait. Look at that. Look at that.
There you go, guys. That's how to make your baits suspend. So upgrade your hook sizes. Add some Suspendots to the belly. It only took me 4 or 5. I think I did 5 on this one real quick. Took me 2 minutes to do that. But play around. So add your Suspendot tank test, add and test till you get the perfect amount. And then if you need to cut a little bit off, just take a knife and real fine roll over the lead and pop it off. It won't mess up your baits, won't chip them up. It just peels off that lead. Peel off little layers if you get a little too much. But that's a great technique and a great addition to shad wraps, especially in cold water. You can throw these, get that really tight wiggle, and then pause them in cold water and get them to suspend like a jerkbait and give those fish a chance when they're coming up lethargic to eat that bait and react to that bait because it stops in front of their nose in cold water. So I hope this video helped you guys out. Hope you learned some cool tips. We ran through the ringer on jerkbaits that suspend and don't suspend out of the packet. We tested them in the water to see if they sank or floated. And for the ones that floated, we added weight to them with something as simple like Suspendots. So a little easy tip for you guys. Get out there, catch some more fish. Till next time, Bass Predator Nation, stay tuned. Bye.